to 13 reports in just 3 months. Plus, the governor of West Virginia is talking about adding some Virginia counties to the state. What would need to happen for that to be a reality? And in sports, the basketball season is in full swing as we catch you up on all the action from around Athens County. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch, your source for all news out of Southeast Ohio. I'm Spencer Charlton. Thank you for joining us. The string of break-ins at businesses in Athens is continuing. The Athens Police Department reported an attempted breaking and entering at Village Bakery on East State Street on Monday. So far, 8 businesses have filed 13 reports of burglaries or attempted burglaries, while they were closed since mid-November. In that month alone, there were 4 reports. 2 of them were from Soul Restaurant and Bar on East State Street, and the other 2 from Obetti's Red Hot Restaurant on West State Street and Brennan's Cafe on Court Street. In December, there were 4 more reported break-ins at places like Silver Serpent on East State Street, OMG Rotisserie Chicken located on Columbus Road, and Ambassador Laundry on Stimson Avenue. Monday's report is the 4th breaking and entering report in January. We called the Athens Police Department for more information, but they did not get back to us yet. WOUB will continue to cover this story here on Newswatch and on our local media. You can find us online at woub.org and on Twitter at @outlet_WOUB. A Gallup policeman is recovering after a car accident in Bloomfield Township last night. The State Highway Patrol says they responded to a crash at the intersection of State Route 327 and US Route 35. Toby Roop was transported by an EMS to a hospital in Jackson for possible serious injuries. The other driver was uninjured. Part of US 35 was closed for about 2 hours after the accident. A suspect in relation to a Tuesday afternoon shooting in Muskingum County is in custody. The Zanesville Times Recorder reports that Sheriff Matt Lutz determined the shooting took place at a home on Macedonia Road following a call he received yesterday afternoon. Officers arrested 3 people at the home. One of the 3 is still in custody. The condition of the victim is unknown, but the sheriff said surgery had been performed. The investigation is still ongoing. 2 other suspects are in custody after an officer-involved shooting and car chase this morning in Kentucky. WSAZ reports Amanda Cochran was being pulled over for a routine traffic stop in Scioto County, Ohio, but instead of stopping the car, she led police on a chase into Kentucky. Kentucky State Police say shots were fired by someone in the vehicle and police fired back, injuring Cochran. Cochran and her passenger were both arrested. And now let's take a look at your local weather with Alyssa.
Hi, I'm forecaster Alyssa Lanier from the Newswatch Weather Center. Right now in Athens, it is 34 degrees and it is cooling throughout the evening. We are under cloudy skies and the humidity is 67% and the winds are from the east at 3 miles an hour. Across the region right now, it is 34 in Athens, 36 in Ripley, 36 in Marietta, 36 in New Martinsville, 37 in Ironton, which is our hot spot right now, 36 in Jackson, 34 in Chillicothe, and 34 in Columbus, all under cloudy skies. The precipitation, there has been no precipitation in our area for today, and the headlines for the next few days are there. You should keep your umbrella handy, and there will be a chance of showers over the weekend, so definitely keep it handy. And there will still be chilly temperatures. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Alyssa. Students in Gallia County local schools will be back in class tomorrow. The district called off classes today due to a high number of absences and sicknesses. Superintendent Jude Mayers says the schools will be getting, quote, deep clean tonight. And it's not just Gallia. Other districts in the area have also been reporting higher than normal absence rates. Officials in Kentucky are investigating a crash on the Ohio River. A towing vessel carrying 15 barges of coal collided with a bridge, but surprisingly left no debris or damage. Brian Hamrick talks to officials about how this could have happened.
It's a floating freight train, and this one went off its river riding rails, then collided with the Carroll Cropper Bridge as it headed northbound. Upstream.
The towing vessel is the towing vessel Washington. It was pushing 15 loaded hopper barges that were loaded with coal.
Coast Guard Lieutenant Jim Brindle says they're still working to determine what caused the crash.
Sometimes there are mechanical failures, it could be operator error. At this point, the investigation's ongoing.
In the moments after the collision, the 15 barges broke loose from each other and began floating independently downstream.
15 barges loaded with coal, it's a lot of force. Even if you're moving at a slow rate, the kinetic energy behind it.
Other tows in the area came to the rescue and stopped the barges and helped to corral the barges before disaster.
The Coast Guard's going to determine what happened, why it happened, and what we can do to potentially prevent it in the future.
The bridge was not closed, but inspectors were called in to check it out.
They took a look at the impacted area and didn't notice anything and reported back that everything on the bridge looked fine.
No injuries, no coal spilled, and no pollution was reported in a slow-speed collision that required fast action to keep it from getting worse.
West Virginia Governor Jim Justice is saying, come on over. Justice is supporting a resolution that would make easier for some Virginia counties to become part of West Virginia. The proposal comes as a result of Democratic control in Virginia's capital and the belief that Democratic legislation is infringing upon Virginians' rights. During a press conference yesterday, Justice and Jerry Falwell, the head of the University of Liberty in Virginia, announced their support.
This resolution effectively puts out a welcome sign inviting any counties in Virginia to become part of the state of West Virginia.
Constitutional law experts say it would require approval from both states and Congress. The impeachment trial is at a pivotal point. Votes in the next few days will determine if there will be witnesses and documents. What is at stake after the break? Plus, there are now 5 confirmed cases of the coronavirus in the United States. What officials have to say and how they are trying to contain the spread of this deadly disease. Those stories when Newswatch returns.
In Zimbabwe, an unusual bond is forming.
I was filming and the cubs came right up to me. And that was how the whole thing started.
Now we can follow this wild cheetah family extremely close up.
It wasn't long and I was walking with them, sleeping with them, and even following them on the hunt.
Witness firsthand the heartbreaks and triumphs a cheetah mother faces raising the next generation.
On expedition.
I'm with an expert team pushing deep into South America's pristine jungle.
This is the middle of nowhere.
To find a lost world never before seen by human eyes.
What do you think? We're completely on our own. It looks pretty intimidating. What's your move? It's incredible. These places are absolute treasures, and we have to do everything we can to protect them. We came here looking for lost worlds. We found one.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, one of these is the real deal, and one is a reproduction.
It's a horse stick, or a dance stick, as they call it. And she said it was Lakota, late 1800s.
He said that he got it from a dig somewhere in New Mexico.
Well, it's not from New Mexico. It's never been buried.
Can you tell which is which? It's Antiques Roadshow, next time from Bonanzaville in West Fargo, North Dakota.
The mysterious outer worlds, the solar system's strangest realm.
This is a region of the solar system that we really had very little information about.
Small planet should run out of energy and stop evolving billions of years ago. Pluto didn't read any of those textbooks.
The planets, ice worlds, on Nova.
The Senate impeachment trial of President Donald Trump has entered the next phase, and over the course of the next 2 days, senators will be asking a lot of questions. This period of the trial could impact how senators ultimately vote on the possibility of having witnesses and documents. Camille Bernal has the very latest in this report from Washington.
A more visible Chief Justice.
The Senate will convene as
John Roberts, now the voice of senators, as he reads their questions over a 16-hour period.
This is a question for the counsel for the president. Senator Feinstein asks the House managers. The senators ask
House managers and the president's defense lawyers answering the questions and trying to push their cases. The defense saying there's no wrongdoing on behalf of the president and that the House managers have a weak case.
There isn't any legitimate public interest And they've totally failed to make that case.
The Democrats doing all they can to convince at least 4 Republican senators to vote yes on witnesses like John Bolton, the former national security advisor.
To turn him away, to look the other way, I think is deeply at odds with being an impartial juror.
Each answer allowed approximately 5 minutes.
To the President's counsel.
And the questions coming from one or multiple senators.
On my behalf, and also joined by Senators Loeffler, Lee, Kramer, and McSally.
But after the 2-day round of questions is finished, the senators and perhaps Roberts will finally have to confront a likely difficult vote on whether to call witnesses. In Washington, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
While this is going on, the White House has issued a formal threat to John Bolton to keep him from publishing his White House memoir. In the book, Bolton links the U.S.'s withholding of aid to Ukraine to pressure that country to investigate the Bidens. The warning letter comes amid tweets by President Trump attacking Bolton. The tweet suggests Trump knew the contents of the manuscript. President Trump has signed into law the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. It replaces the North American Free Trade Agreement. The new plan puts in new auto manufacturing requirements and tougher labor protections. President Trump called it a victory for American workers.
Everybody said this was a deal that could not be done. Too complicated, too big, couldn't be done, we got it done. And today we're finally ending the NAFTA nightmare and signing into law the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement.
Mexico has ratified the agreement, but Canada must still sign off before it takes full effect. More U.S. service members suffered brain injuries than previously known from the Iranian missile attack on troops in Iraq earlier this month. 16 more cases are added to those Pentagon officials announced last week. John Lawrence reports.
President Trump at a rally Tuesday night in New Jersey applauding U.S. troops for the drone strike that killed a top Iranian general earlier this month.
Weeks ago, at my direction, the U.S. military launched a flawless precision strike that killed the world's #1 terrorist, Qasem Soleimani.
And now the Pentagon reports 50 military personnel are suffering from traumatic brain injuries following Iran's retaliatory missile attack on U.S. forces. According to a Pentagon statement, 32 of those service members are back on duty after treatment. 18 were taken to Germany for additional evaluation and treatment. President Trump and the Pentagon originally said no U.S. troops were killed or injured in the January 8th attack from Iran. But last week in Switzerland, the president backtracked on the issue.
I heard that they had headaches and a couple of other things, but I would say, and I can report, it is not very serious.
Traumatic brain injuries aren't always immediately apparent, but the Pentagon's announcement shows the attack was more serious than first reports indicated. The Defense and Veterans Brain Injury Center says most TBIs suffered in the military are mild. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars is calling for President Trump to issue an apology for minimizing the brain issues service members suffered from the Iranian missile strikes. The United States is taking precautions when it comes to the coronavirus. A flight carrying U.S. diplomats and their families landed at a U.S. military base in California today. The flight from Wuhan, China, was chartered by the U.S. State Department. As for outgoing flights, American Airlines is now the second U.S. carrier to suspend some of its flights to China. And the fast-spreading coronavirus has infected thousands and claimed more than 130 lives so far. There are at least 5 confirmed cases in the United States. U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien says they are strongly encouraging Americans to pay attention to travel restrictions.
I think the State Department's already put out a travel warning to the American people that if you don't have essential business in China, you shouldn't go. So we're keeping a close eye on it, and we'll continue to inform the American people of our views on it. But we've got great folks at the CDC. Secretary Azar at HHS is literally on this 24/7. So we can rest assured that we're taking this very seriously and doing everything we can.
You can prevent getting sick by washing your hands frequently and avoid touching your face. A massive earthquake in the Caribbean is leaving people a little shaken up. What it looked like on the ground as it was happening. Still ahead.
Late last night, there was a little bit of sprinkling with some sleet mixed in. Will there be more winter precip in the week ahead? I'll talk about that in my full forecast, but first, here's a look at stocks of local interest.
The first blockbuster film revered as a cinematic masterpiece.
D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, he's trying to have an effect, and one of the things you feel most strongly is fear.
Exposed as a device for propaganda.
Used as a recruiting tool by the Klan.
One of the efforts was to try to get it shut down.
We want to see the birth of a nation.
People look at this film and they say, this is what we are fighting against.
Birth of a movement.
That's the one I contributed. I see it. I see you.
Philadelphia is the second largest Italian community outside of New York.
It smells so good in here.
Right?
On a Sunday in this neighborhood, you can smell every home.
It's like symphony orchestra playing like Metallica. When the nonna says mangiare, you better eat.
No passport required.
All over the country, Americans are fed up and rebelling against the politicians and the power brokers, fighting against Citizens United.
We do not believe that corporations are people.
Voter suppression.
We will never stop battling.
Can ordinary voters halt what many see as politicians rigging elections? Can it work?
The president's reckless activities necessitated us to introduce articles of impeachment.
They've been trying to impeach me from day one.
The state of our union.
If Iran does anything that they shouldn't be doing, they're going to be suffering the consequences.
PBS NewsHour coverage.
The economy is booming and America is stronger than ever before.
The 2020 State of the Union Address, Tuesday, February 4th, 9/8 Central.
Hi, I'm forecaster Alyssa Lanier. Right now in Athens, it is 34 degrees under cloudy skies, and the winds are from the east at 3 miles an hour. Across the region, we are seeing very cool temperatures, 34 in Athens, 36 in Ripley, 36 in Marietta, all under cloudy skies. Tonight in Athens, it will cool to 28 degrees as the low, and the clouds will clear out to be mostly cloudy, but in some regions there will still be fully cloudy skies. So definitely try to stay warm tonight and wear a coat if you're going out and about into the evening. At 8 p.m. it will be 33 degrees and it will be calm winds. At 10 p.m. it will cool down a little bit to 31 degrees. And at midnight it will be 30 degrees, but it will be a cloudy evening and very cool. Across the region, it will be 28 in Athens, 28 in Ripley, 26 in Marietta, 24 in New Lexington, 26 in Newark, 26 in Columbus, all under mostly cloudy to cloudy skies. Looking at the bus stop forecast in Athens tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., it will be a cold start to the morning, so definitely send your kids to school bundled up if they are riding to the bus. At 8 a.m. it will be 30 degrees. At 10 a.m. it will start to warm a little bit and the clouds will thin to be mostly cloudy, and it will be 33 degrees at 10 a.m. At noon it will be 38 degrees and it will be partly cloudy. The high tomorrow will be 41 degrees, but it will still be a chilly day, so dress warm, and it will be nice and partly cloudy tomorrow. The sun will peek through a little bit. Across the region, it will be 41 in Athens, 44 in Ripley, 44 in Marietta, all under partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. Looking aloft at the jet stream, we are under a ridging pattern right now, so we are seeing fair weather today, so it's not really a lot happening in our region today or tomorrow. There is this low surface trough moving into our area, and when it moves across our area we may see a little bit of precipitation associated with it, but not a lot, just a 10% chance, and it will be out of our area by Friday. Looking at the week ahead, tomorrow across the region it will be 41 in Athens, 44 in Ripley, 44 in Marietta, 42 in New Martinsville, all under partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. Looking at the week ahead in Athens, it will be 40 on Thursday under mostly cloudy skies. On Friday, there is a 40% chance of rain into the evening hours, and it could turn into snow at 41 degrees on Friday. Saturday, it will be 43 degrees. Sunday, it will be 47 degrees. Monday, it will be 57 degrees and a very beautiful day. Tuesday, it will be 54 degrees. And Wednesday, it will be 45 degrees. And there's a 30% chance of snow. So we will be starting to see a forecast for winter precipitation over the next week, and that could really shake up people's forecasts, Spencer.
It really could, Alyssa. And speaking of shaking it up, hundreds of residents in Miami, Florida were shaken up by a 7.7 magnitude Caribbean earthquake yesterday that resulted in many buildings being evacuated. The earthquake itself hit between Jamaica and Cuba and could be felt all the way in southern Florida. Craig Washington works on the 21st floor of one of the buildings evacuated, but he says he grew up in California, so he's used to earthquakes. But he didn't think that's what it was when he first felt the building move.
It was very slow, and it was kind of like being on a boat, so I just assumed because I hadn't eaten, I was feeling a little lightheaded, but then it turned out it was an earthquake.
The earthquake appears to have been a strike-slip earthquake when tectonic plates slide against each other. There are no initial reports of damage or casualties.
Hello, I'm Jacob Murray, and after the break, I'll show you how women's basketball coach Bob Bolden is preparing for their game tonight against the Toledo Zips. And after that, also coming up, see how well some of the boys' high school basketball teams did on Tuesday night after this break. But first, keep it here on WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up on your Publix television station.
All over the country, Americans are fed up and rebelling against the politicians and the power brokers, fighting against Citizens United.
We do not believe that corporations are people.
Voter suppression.
We will never stop battling.
Can ordinary voters halt what many see as politicians rigging elections? Can it work?
On expedition.
I'm with an expert team pushing deep into South America's pristine jungle.
This is the middle of nowhere.
To find a lost world never before seen by human eyes.
What do you think? We're completely on our own. It looks pretty intimidating. What's your room? It's incredible.
These places are absolute treasures, and we have to do everything we can to protect them.
We came here looking for lost worlds. We found one.
In Zimbabwe, an unusual bond is forming.
I was filming, and the cubs came right up to me. And that was how the whole thing started.
Now we can follow this wild cheetah family extremely close up.
It wasn't long, and I was walking with them, sleeping with them, and even following them on the hunt.
Witness firsthand the heartbreaks and triumphs a cheetah mother faces raising the next generation.
The mysterious outer worlds, the solar system's strangest realm.
This is a region of the solar system that we really had very little information about.
Small planets should run out of energy and stop evolving billions of years ago. Pluto didn't read any of those textbooks.
The planets, ice worlds, on Nova.
Welcome back. I'm Jacob Murray. Well, Ohio men's basketball team has lost some close ones over this past months of the season, and that was sadly the same case last night as the Bobcats fell 61-59 to the Northern Illinois Huskies, making this the fourth time over the last 5 games that Coach Bowles and the Bobcats have lost by 3 or fewer points in a game. Sophomore Ben Vanderplas led the way for Ohio with 18 points and 8 rebounds. Fellow sophomore Jason Preston piled together another all-around stat line with 10 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. Ohio will look to bounce back this Saturday when they travel to Muncie, Indiana to match up with the Ball State Cardinals, with tip-off set for 1 p.m. Flipping over to women's basketball, the Bobcats will play at the Convocation Center tonight against the Akron Zips in a midweek MAC showdown. The Bobcats sit at 12-6 on the season, having won 3 straight games against MAC opponents coming into this one. Ohio is led by their deep and talented lineup, which includes MAC East Co-Player of the Week in sophomore Erica Johnson. And it's not just Johnson, as thanks to two-way player junior CeCe Hooks and the leadership of senior Amani Burke, this team has suddenly caught fire again. Coach Bob Bolden praises his entire team on helping them win games, citing it isn't one player who carries them each night, but a collection of them to win ball games. The Akron Zips come in 9-9, having lost their last game to Western Michigan on Saturday. The Zips are led by senior Haley Reinhold, who is averaging about 15 points per game. But overall, Coach Bolden knows that their defense will need to step up regardless of who they are playing next.
It's an ongoing process, our shell defense, and we still need to guard the three-point line better. There's just too many teams in our conference that shoot it well from the three-point line to continue to allow them to do so. I think ball pressure probably helps us out a little bit more as well.
Keeping with the basketball theme, there were several high school boys basketball teams that played this past Tuesday night. Keeping it as close as possible, the Athens Bulldogs were able to handle the Nelsonville York Buckeyes 68-50. For the Bulldogs, Braden Whitling led the way with 24 points, and Braden Markins was close behind with 20 points and 13 rebounds to help sweep the season series against the Buckeyes. The Alexander Spartans, even without leading scorer J.K. Kearns due to the flu, were able to handle the Wilson Golden Rockets 49-33 at home. Freshman Kyler DiAugustino led the way with 12 points for the Spartans. And to round out our recap, we travel out to Federal Hawking, where the Lancers took out the Waterford Wildcats 77-50. Federal Hawking leaned on their senior big man Brad Russell, who led the way with 12 points and 12 rebounds. The Federal Hawking Lancers still remain the surprise team in the conference, sitting now at 14-3. But basketball wasn't the only thing on the big man's mind this past Sunday. NBA great Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash, and Russell wanted to dedicate his shoes to one of his favorite players.
We grew up watching him. He's an idol of mine. It was terrible to lose him in that way. So I had to honor him somehow. So I had to break out the shoes today.
You know what, Spencer, it's been really nice to see how it's been trickling down through the ranks into high school now, and even in an area where you wouldn't think Kobe Bryant would have impacted these players, it's very nice to see that.
It's truly amazing to see this wonderful impact that Kobe's had on everyone all the way down to high school basketball and even beyond the court. In other news, the world's most famous groundhog could lose his job to a robot. Puxatawny Phil is Pennsylvania's famed weather forecasting rodent who predicts the onset of spring every year on Groundhog Day. PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, is asking that Puxatawny Phil be replaced by an animatronic groundhog. The organization objects to the conditions of Phil's captivity. According to the Puxatawny Groundhog Club's website, he lives in a man-made, climate-controlled zoo. Now let's take one last look at your local weather with Alyssa.
Tomorrow in Athens, the high will be 41 degrees under partly cloudy skies. It will still be a chilly day and unfortunately no warming in the next few days. And the winds will be from the northwest at 0 to 5 miles an hour. Across the region, it will be 41 degrees in Athens tomorrow, 44 in Ripley, 44 in Marietta, 42 in New Martinsville, 40 in Cambridge, 40 in New Lexington, 39 in Newark, 39 in Columbus, 40 in Chillicothe, 44 down in Jackson, and 44 in Ironton, all under partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. Looking at the 7-day forecast in the week ahead, on Thursday it will be mostly cloudy skies and it will be 40 degrees as your high temperature tomorrow. It will be 20 degrees as the low, so definitely wear a coat if you're going out and about Thursday evening. Friday there's a 40% chance of rain and it will be 41 degrees. Saturday there's a 40% chance of rain and it will be 43 degrees. Sunday it will be 47 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Monday it will be 57 degrees and a 20% chance of snow. Tuesday it will be 54 degrees, and back to you, Spencer.
Thanks, Alyssa. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Spencer Charlton. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
Calling all high school basketball fans, we're back for Season 11 of Hardwood Heroes. I'm your host, Sam Wiesnath, here with my co-host, T. Willis.
We've got all the TVC action on WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6.
As always, we're your hosts reminding you to be heroic.